Yes lads, how you all doing? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, and today I'm going to bring you guys the Watford versus Leicester City match preview. So, football is back, the Premier League is finally back, and the Leicester City matchday content is finally back on the channel. It's been almost 100 days, but today, we are finally back, people. We are back with the Leicester City matchday content on the channel. So today, I'm going to bring you guys the match preview for the game on Saturday where Leicester travel down to Vicarage Road to take on Watford in the Premier League. But just before we get into it, make sure a big thumbs up down below on today's video if you enjoyed today's Watford versus Leicester match preview. People, football is back, the Premier League is back, so go and smash a like down below on today's video. While you're down there, make sure you subscribe if you haven't seen my face on your screen before. A big thanks to 1K, we have done it, people. The 1K mark has been reached, so if you are watching today's video and if you are new around here, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. A little fact for you guys, over 80% of you guys haven't even subscribed, so I know there's one person at least watching today's video. Go and subscribe if you are new around here. The Premier League content is back, so I consider subscribing for much more Premier League content on the channel, just like this one. Make sure you go and subscribe to the Full 90 if you haven't already, my group channel. There'll be a link to that in the description down below. Turn on my channel post notifications so you never miss any future videos on the channel, just like this one. There's going to be a lot of videos coming over this behind closed doors period, so turn on your notifications so you never miss any future videos on the channel, just like this one. Follow my social medias, they'll be down there. Links to them will be in the description down below. Go and follow my Instagram, Snapchat and Twitter. They'll be all down there in the description down below. Let me know your thoughts on the match, your score predictions for the first game back between Watford and Leicester in the comment section down below. So as per usual, getting straight into today's match preview, we're going to start off by talking about the oppositional side of things, heading of course into the first game back between Watford and Leicester down at Vicarage Road. Today I've got the 1881 club coming on the channel to give you guys the Watford side of things, heading into the first game back down at Vicarage Road. He's a Watford fan channel, so go and subscribe. There'll be a link to his channel in the description down below. A big thanks to him for coming on the channel today. I'm going to hand over to him now. He's going to bring you guys the Watford side of things.
Hi everyone, it's Ricky from the 1881 Club YouTube channel doing a pre-match preview for Josh, obviously here at Sportsa. And I'm sort of giving information from Watford's side in the lead up to Watford versus Leicester. Now obviously our season as a whole hasn't been how we'd expect it to be. We've definitely dropped below the expectations that we had going into the season. Obviously coming off the back of a fantastic campaign. Yeah, we didn't expect to be in this position. Literally one place above out of the relegation zone is not preferable. Our form in the last 5 games before lockdown was not great either. We have picked up 4 points from a possible 15 in our last 5 games. However, 3 of those points came in a 3-0 win against Liverpool. I'm sure you're all aware about that. So that does fill me with a little bit of confidence and also shows that we are capable of playing well, which I think Watford fans sort of needed reminding of after we've experienced the season that we've had so far. It's going to be a difficult game. Leicester's never an easy team to play. I think they've got some really good players, players that will need to stay alert because they will hurt you if you fall asleep for even a couple of seconds. Players like Vardy, who will hit you and hurt you with his pace. But having said that, we have players that on their day can play really well. We've got players like Etienne Capoue, we've got Ismail Assar, who's been a real gem in the side since he started getting more game time and has proved to be a really crucial player this season in the fight to keep us up. So I think again we've got players that as Leicester fans you would need to look out for and keep under lock and key if you possibly can. And to be honest, I am feeling a little bit optimistic. I don't know, I think all this break from football has given me this sort of optimism. Not in the grand schemes of things. I do think that we might be in a little bit of trouble, especially now we don't have a crowd, because obviously it's played behind closed doors, which doesn't help. But yeah, I do think that it will be a 1-1 draw. I think it'll be a very close game, and it'll just be a case of neither side being able to get the better of the other team, and I think it will just end in a 1-1 draw. One player that I think you'll need to look out for is Ismail Assar. He's got 5 goals and 4 assists this season in the Premier League. He's made 19 appearances, but aside from that, his ability to drive at defenders and cause problems and give the defenders something else that they need to worry about is really important for us, and it allows for us to create more chances and potentially score more goals. I think he's proven to be quite a handful for certain teams from Liverpool who couldn't keep him under lock and key. And I just think on his day he is a brilliant player, and he is someone that will keep the Leicester City defenders busy. But yeah, that is my sort of little preview. I mean, I would say good luck, but I mean, not really. But yeah, no, hopefully it's a good game, and hopefully Watford can come out with 3 points. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for having me on.
So big thanks for the 1881 Club for coming on the channel today. Like I said earlier on, go and subscribe. Links to their channel will be in the description down below. But without further ado, let's get into the Leicester side of the match preview. So of course, it's been a brilliant season for Leicester City so far under Brendan Rodgers. Of course, sitting third place with about 10 games to go of the season. It's looking highly likely that the Foxes will secure a spot in Champions League football for the up and coming season. Obviously, there's around 9 to 10 games to go, so there's still a lot of points up for grabs. And with teams like Chelsea, Manchester United all closing in it's still going to be very difficult. But I'm fully confident that we can get a few more wins and hopefully secure a Champions League spot for the up and coming season under Brendan Rodgers. If you're going to look at our form just before lockdown, obviously it is a very long time form. It's not going to play too much of a part in the game. But if you do look at the form in the last 5 games before lockdown in the Premier League, it wasn't actually the best. Only 5 points from 5s, and for a team who's challenging for a European spot, a Champions League spot, it is just not the greatest. We lost to teams like Norwich, Manchester City in that period. But just before lockdown, we did manage to pick up a 4-0 victory against Aston Villa at home. And that provides big confidence for me going into the game. Obviously, it is a 100-day break or something stupid like that. But even a 4-0 win at the end of the season will still provide the confidence for the players, and hopefully we can bring that confidence in to the game against Watford and hopefully take 3 points away from Vicarage Road. But moving on to the game itself, obviously we take on Watford on Saturday in the early kickoff on BT down at Vicarage Road. It's going to be very, very hard to predict this one. Obviously there's been a massive gap between the last Premier League game and to now, and with the games being played behind closed doors, it is going to be very, very difficult to predict. Anything can really happen, and I don't really know what to expect by Leicester. Obviously, both teams have played a few friendlies. Obviously, Leicester played Aston Villa. Watford, I think they've played Brentford in the pre-season friendly as well, or kind of pre-season. So it's going to be very difficult to predict, and it's going to be very interesting to see which team performs the better on Saturday. Anything could really happen. It could go either way. It's going to be very, very hard to predict. But of course, with Leicester challenging for a Champions League spot, these are the type of games we simply have to win if we are going to secure it going into next season. Of course, Watford flirting with relegation under former Leicester City manager Nigel Pearson. It's going to be a very difficult game. Of course, Watford still have a lot to play for, so do Leicester, and especially at this time of the season, anything can happen in the Premier League. Watford are a very good side under Nigel Pearson. Of course, they picked up a 3-0 win at home against Liverpool, so we can see that Watford can beat the big sides, and it could happen against us. We have to be wary of Watford's threat, and with the likes of Ismaila Sarr up front, Troy Deeney, it's going to be a difficult game, and especially under Nigel Pearson, obviously former Leicester manager. We're seeing how Nigel Pearson likes to set his sides up. I think Watford are going to set up very defensively, look to get Leicester on the counter-attack, and it's going to be a very difficult game on Saturday at Vicarage Road. And of course, there's so much uncertainty heading into the first game back, obviously behind closed doors. Anything could happen, and like I said, it's going to be a difficult game on Saturday at Vicarage Road. Leicester never have a good record at Vicarage Road anyway. We haven't won there in quite a few seasons, so it's going to be very, very difficult. It's going to be interesting to see how Leicester perform, interesting to see how we set up. Obviously, there's 5 substitutions allowed. Will Brendan Rodgers set up a different way? Could we move to a 5 at the back towards the game, depending on the scoreline? It's going to be very interesting to see, but the game could be completely wide open. Leicester could dominate, Watford could dominate. Anything could happen, and it's really hard to predict what's going to happen, especially with the game being played behind closed doors. So quickly moving on to injury news for the Foxes heading into the first game back. Ricardo Pereira is the only real doubt heading into the game. He picked up an ACL injury on our final game just before lockdown against Aston Villa after Jack Grealish's challenge. It's looking highly unlikely that Ricardo will not even feature for the remainder of the season behind closed doors. So the man to come in and replace Ricardo Pereira would be James Justin, the former Luton Town man. Of course, the youngster has played a few times this season and done fairly well, to be perfectly honest. He played against Aston Villa, obviously, in our final game, and he performed very well in the left back position. So I'm pretty confident that James Justin can come in alongside the back four and do a pretty decent job. But Watford fans, if you are watching this, that is a big place to exploit. Obviously, the youngster with players like Sarr in your attacking lineup, that's a chance that you could really get a James Justin, and that could be a slight weak spot in the side. But I'm fairly confident that James Justin will come in and do a very good job. The only other injury concern is our winger, a right winger, Spanish international, Ayoze Perez. He's been struggling with a muscle injury in the last couple of days, so it's a bit unknown if he is going to start or not. If he doesn't start, I think that Michael Brighton will come into the lineup, or possibly Demari Gray, but I think Michael Brighton will slot in on the right-hand side. I'm fairly confident that Michael Brighton can fill in for the Spaniard fairly well. But that is it for the Leicester injury news heading into the first game back. So with that being said, going on to my score prediction for the first game back, like I said, this is going to be extremely difficult to predict though. But if I had to give a score prediction, I'm going to go with a Watford 0, Leicester City 1. Like I said, it's going to be a close game. I think it will be very close. Limited chances for either side, obviously. We saw in the Aston Villa game, it was fairly cagey affair. Obviously, two teams at different ends of the spectrum. And I think the same story will happen once again. It's going to be a tight one, but I think Leicester will just manage to win it in the end. I'm going to go with the main man, Jamie Vardy, to score against Watford. Obviously scored in the home fixture earlier on this season after Leicester beat the Hornets 2-0 at the King Power Stadium in December. So it's going to be a tight one, but I'm going to go with a narrow 1-0 win for the Foxes, and that would be a brilliant 3 points away from home at a very difficult place to go at Vicarage Road. Like I said, we never do well at Vicarage Road, so if you can get 3 points, possibly even a point, it will be a decent result. But to be perfectly honest, if you are challenging, if you are going to challenge for Champions League, we do need to get the 3 points in the game, and I'm fairly confident that we do so. So I'm going to go with a Watford 0, Leicester 1 as my score prediction. So finally, moving on to my predicted lineups. This is the side I think Brendan Rodgers will go to start against Watford on Saturday down at Vicarage Road. To start off in goal, I'm going to go with Kasper Schmeichel. Pretty obvious that the Danish international will start unless he gets an injury in today's training session, but I'm fairly confident that Kasper Schmeichel will come in and do a good job. Obviously, it's been an up and down season for Kasper. You know, his kicking hasn't been the best, but his shot stopping's been good once again. He's got a lot of clean sheets this season, so hopefully he can bring that form into the remaining nine games or so in the Premier League behind closed doors. Moving into the back four then, to start off at right back, I'm going to go with James Justin. Obviously, I mentioned it earlier, Ricardo Pereira is injured, so James Justin should be coming in at right back. Like I said, he's played a few times this season and done fairly well, so I'm pretty confident that James Justin can do a good job at right back. Moving on to the two centre-backs, the absolute godly pair, probably the best two centre-backs in the league. I'm joking, by the way. Liverpool fans, calm down. But I'm going to go with big man Kagawa Sunchu and Johnny Evans to start with the two centre-back pairings. Them two have been absolutely outstanding this season, and I'm confident that them two can do a good job against Watford once again. Obviously Sunchu has broke through. It'd be disappointing to see Sunchu come off, but I really think that Sunchu has developed so much this season. I think he'll carry that through. And obviously Johnny Evans, an old player at fitness break, would have done Johnny Evans the world of good, to be perfectly honest. Obviously he's played a lot of football in a fitness press, would have done Johnny Evans very good. I'm fairly confident that big Johnny Evans can do a good job in the remainder of the season alongside Kagawa Sunchu. And finally, moving into the left back position, I'm going to go with Ben Chilwell. Obviously, a lot of links surrounded him with a possible move to Chelsea around 85 million, but I think Chilwell will come into the lineup. Obviously, he hasn't had the best of seasons. He was very poor after Christmas, so I think this break has done Ben Chilwell a lot of good. So hopefully Ben Chilwell can come in refreshed. Hopefully the crowd will take the pressure off him, and I'm fairly confident that Chilwell will actually perform very well, especially with the links to Chelsea. I think Chile will want to perform very well, so hopefully Chile has a good game at left back against Watford. So moving straight into midfield, I'm going to go with a midfield three to start against Watford on Saturday. In the defensive role, just in front of Sunchu and Evans, I'm going to go with the absolute god central defensive midfielder Wilfred Ndidi. He's had an absolutely outstanding season once again. He's been struggling with a few injury issues though after Christmas, so I think this break would have done big Wilfred Ndidi the world of good once again. But we all know what qualities Wilfred Ndidi has, and hopefully he can perform very well in that central defensive midfielder role, and I'm fairly confident that Wolf can do. He performs well in any condition, so yeah, fairly confident that Wolf can have a good game on Saturday. Moving ahead of him, I'm going to go with Youri Tielemans to start. It's been an up and down season for the Belgium international, but another player I think this break would have done Youri Tielemans the world of good. He's been struggling with fitness once again, basically for the whole of the season. He's just looked very, very slow. Hopefully in this time he's got fit. Hopefully, I don't know, he's just gone to the gym a bit more, I guess, and hopefully he's ready. Hopefully he can last longer, and hopefully he just seems a bit slow on the half turn. Hopefully he's sorted that out in this kind of break. So I'm fairly confident that Youri can come in, but obviously with the five-man bench, players like Dennis Pratt are going to be heavily involved in the remainder of the season. And for Tielemans, I think Tielemans can go flat out for 60 minutes or so, and Brendan can bring Dennis Pratt on. So I think that will get the best out of Youri Tielemans and the best out of Dennis Pratt. Alongside Youri Tielemans, I'm going to go with James Maddison. He's had another great season under Brendan Rodgers. He's been fairly consistent for the entirety of it. He has struggled after Christmas, but I think this break just would have done James Maddison a lot of good. I think this break has done Leicester a lot of good overall. Like I said, our form after Christmas until March, it just wasn't really the best. So I think James Maddison can come in and have a good performance against Watford on Saturday. And now finally moving into the front three, so starting off in the left wing position, I'm going to go with Harvey Barnes. Obviously, you've got players such as Damari Gray in the position, but Harvey Barnes has to start for me. He's had a brilliant season. He's developed so much this season under Brendan Rodgers. He's got a consistent game time and he's really thrived, especially after Christmas when Leicester weren't doing so good. Harvey Barnes was probably the best player at times, so hopefully Harvey can have another good game. He was very good in the Aston Villa game as well, just before, obviously, lockdown struck. He got 2 goals in that one, so hopefully he can bring that form into the game against Watford. and I'm fairly confident that young Harvey Barnes can have a great game against Watford on Saturday. Moving into the right wing position, I'm going to go with Mark Albrighton. Obviously, there's a slight injury concern with Ayoze Perez. Even if Ayoze Perez is slightly fit, we could potentially just bring him off the bench, but I wouldn't want to see Ayoze Perez just make that injury worse. So I think Mark Albrighton needs to start on Saturday. I don't think Damari Gray is good enough to start in the right wing position, so I'm going to go with Mark Albrighton to start. He had a very good game against Aston Villa as well, just before lockdown, 2 assists in that game. So, you know, hopefully he could bring that into the game on Saturday against Watford. And finally, moving up front with the main man, Jamie Vardy. I think this break has done him a lot of good as well, as his form after Christmas wasn't too good. He did get 2 goals against Aston Villa though in the final game before lockdown, so hopefully he can carry that form well and have a good end to the season. He usually does well towards the end of the season. I think Vardy can just go flat out, and if we need to bring Kelechi Iheanacho on, we can, of course, with the 5 substitutions. I think the 5 subs will also benefit Leicester fairly well, so I can see Iheanacho, Dennis Pratt, Damari Gray all on the bench, all options to come on towards the end of the game if needed. But yeah, that is it for my predicted lineup. But boys and girls, that is it for the Watford versus Leicester City match preview. Football is back. It happens on Saturday for the Foxes. There will be a live watch on for that one, so get ready for that. I'll start that at around 12 o'clock, so make sure you join us if you can. There'll be a match review straight after the game as well. So football is back, people. The Leicester content is back. I hope you have gone on to enjoy today's match preview. If so, drop a like if you haven't already. Also subscribe if you haven't already. We are now on the road to 2,000 subscribers. A big thanks to 1K, but let's just go for 2K. Why the hell not? Make sure you comment down below your score predictions in the comment section down below, people. But yeah, that is it for today's match preview, the Watford versus Leicester match preview. I've been Sportsa, and I'll see you all in my next video. Peace out.